What happened to my Sorare Global Cup team then? Over 2,000 of you tuned in to see the team, so thank you so much for that. But let me explain what's happened. Essentially, I don't think I could win the Global Cup anymore. Obviously, it was always a long shot to start with, but I've been absolutely hampered right from the start, and the high risk, high reward strategy, it showed absolutely why it's called the high risk, high reward strategy. But I've still got a chance to win other stuff through the tournaments. Even like the National Series cards, you can still sell. They are fantastic. You can win a game week for free ETH, so I'm obviously going to be trying that. But yeah, let's explain what happened. So starting from left to right then, of course, my goalkeeper and my defensive stack of Laporte and Unai Simon were fantastic. I didn't expect Unai to touch the ball during the Costa Rica game. That's pretty much what happened. Easy 66 for him. Laporte, Spain has so much possession of the ball, passing, making those easy passes, essentially exactly as I predicted. Moving on to the Argentina stack then, what can you say? The boys, they let me down. What happened? The biggest upset, potentially the biggest upset in world football at a World Cup. Argentina got beat by Saudi Arabia. It's one of the randomnesses of football. This team were on, I think it's a 36 game unbeaten run, if you didn't know. One of the heavy favourites coming into the competition, and they lost the game, so that's fine. In terms of the picks, you're going to pick Messi. If you're going to fade Messi, that's absolutely fine. I understand people would have done that because of the risks and to try and differentiate the team. But for me, it was too big of a risk to leave him out. I think it showed that he got a penalty. I think he had an assist chalked up as well, which was very, very marginal. Rodrigo de Paul, that's maybe the only question mark still. Is he really good enough to have cemented the spot in my Global Cup team? I still think he was. If you watched the game, he was good. He got unlucky that a lot of his scores were taken off him. But yeah, it's an upset. These things happen. That wouldn't mean my Global Cup team's over. Why the Global Cup team is over is because of the main man to the right, Neymar. So I differentiated my team by having two of the absolute killers on the platform that take up most of your budget, and then that left me with no alternative options on the bench or in goal. And yeah, unfortunately, Neymar got injured in the first game. And some of you might be thinking, well, that was a really stupid decision of you, right? Why didn't you just use one more coin or one more point, whatever you want to say, and get a six-star player that will play? You see, the problem was, although it was high risk, all you had to really do was avoid the first game week injury. So to get my star player, injured in the first game week was just so unbelievably unlucky, because even though he got injured, I still could have replaced him with my reward. And obviously the plan for this was to get off to a quick start, get a tier 1, get a tier 0, and be able to either have depth or replace an injury. But yes, as you can see on screen now, I got Noper, the starting goalkeeper for the Netherlands, who would normally be fantastic. I would love this if Neymar had stayed fit. But of course, because I got a second goalkeeper, you need an extra outfielder. Can't be a goalkeeper, obviously. It has ruined my chances. It essentially meant I have to play Neymar when he was probably a 25% chance of playing. Post game week closing, he has no chance of playing. Essentially, his ankle was just too swollen. They ruled him out for the Switzerland game. I think they ruled him out for the whole group stages. So, yeah, you guys might consider, or I'd be happy to hear your side of the argument if you thought that this team was too high risk and therefore I cornered myself in this own position where one thing going wrong had ruined the team. But I would actually disagree strongly. I still think this was the optimal strategy, because even if I bought in a 6-point player, let's say Szymanski, didn't play. Second, let's say it's a 6-point player that did play. He's 6 points for a reason. He's going to score really averagely. So yes, it keeps you in the game, but you're playing at such a big disadvantage. Even if I had picked up a reward that was pretty standard, I might have even gambled on Neymar anyway playing, just because, in a competition that's so fierce, you need massive points every single week, because someone will be putting up these huge scores. Even De Paul at the start putting up a 40, that might have already hampered my chances to win. I don't think people realise how competitive this is. Someone will go on a massive run of just having the best players. I promise you it will happen. And these are some of the teams I'm talking about, right? Look at this score at the top, 478 points, and massive shout out to this guy. I saw him open his rewards on Twitter. He won Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, and free ETH. He won over £3,000 of rewards in one game week. So obviously I'm still hoping to do something like that if I can be lucky enough. But how are you supposed to compete with this? Theo Hernandez getting 100. Everyone that had looked up the predictor lineup for France knew Theo Hernandez wasn't going to play. He was an awful selection because his brother, Lucas Hernandez, will be starting at left back for most of the games during this competition. What happens? Lucas Hernandez gets injured in the first 20 minutes. Theo Hernandez is Theo Hernandez. Once he's on the pitch, he's going to put up the monster scores. He puts up 100, and it's just kind of lights out at that stage. Someone like Frankie de Jong, I think is a great choice. Thibaut Courtois is the same, but whether Belgium will have that long-term sustainability. And then he's brought down the average, which I think was very clever with a Rabiot. So fair play to him. And then, of course, looking at the other top scores in the half, they're all going to be very similar teams, just slight differentials. So the difference here is Harry Kane. Again, I don't think Harry Kane's good enough where he can sustain these kind of high scores across the whole World Cup. So, yeah, fair enough to these guys for finishing early on, but I think they'll kind of drop off. This team, you're looking at it and you're thinking, again, really solid team, but, these people big in Theo Hernandez, in my choice, they were just completely lucky, which is, of course, like, fair play to them. Like, you need to get lucky to win this, and maybe they went for differentials that no one was picking because they're on the bench. And then in terms of who's top in my league at the moment, shout out to Tevin23 with a monster squad, again with Theo Hernandez. I think Szczesny is a ballsy selection, but it seems to be working very well, so fair play. Second, Santa Claus, a fantastic team again, but this is like, if you haven't got the Theo Hernandez now, because he's got 100 points, he's very hard to keep up with. And the first one without Theo Hernandez is a really interesting team. So Mbappe and Messi, he's gone for a similar strategy to me. He brought down his average price with a Rabiot, which I think is great. This is obviously second game now against Denmark. And then Otamendi. So yeah, it's looking good for those guys. Fair play to them. And then the Simply Secret League, Tevin is in it as well, so he should be watching. I hope you're watching, mate, and good luck to you. Now that Theo is starting, I think he's on for a monster chance. Di Maria, you got really nice score with the assist to Messi today. It's going to be an interesting to watch. I hope I can bounce back. I hope you like this video. I'll do little more updates on the Global Cup. And last thing is, all the best to you. Cheers.